I did my makeup today but my glitter is, I don't know what's happening. The eyeshadow gods abandoned their child today. Hi, welcome. Please subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe. So today we are doing the heavies. We are talking suicide prevention month. So September is my birthday month. It's also Virgo season, and it's also suicide prevention month. All those things are things that are close to my heart, and so that's what we're gonna be talking about. People tend to make suicide prevention about themselves, and we need to stop doing that. You cannot tell me about how you're gonna feel after I have died to suicide. That does not help at all, at all. Um, and if somebody has ended their life, don't try. I don't think we should try to make sense of suicidal people's thinking. And by that I mean, so were you stressed about money kind of thing? I mean, people, and then you're gonna try and bring it from the point of people have stress about money, but they didn't. That's because that's not the only factor that goes into, that's the thing. So the other people that were stressed about money before but did not think about ending their own lives, it means for them there was then no other factors that came into play. And that's the thing that we need to also understand about, um, that there's a mental illness, and suicide is a result of the mental illness. A mentally healthy person will not take in their own life because they do not have the illness. So is people need to understand that this is about a person who was in pain, and the best you could have done was to try to find out the reason, was to try to help them. Black people tend to associate children who are suicidal or who have depression with a reflection of their parenting. I mean, to an extent, yes, it is a reflection of your parenting. Um, but instead of taking it as an offense, instead of taking it as a, instead of getting defensive about it, black parents could actually then decide to want to fix things. So look at what, okay, so clearly there's something that I'm doing wrong. Let's find out what the issue is, what the problem is. But instead, their reaction will always be, when my family found out that I was suicidal, that I had attempted to carry out suicide, their solution was to lock me in a room with 7 adults and scream at me about it. And that was it. Did that help? No, it didn't. It made things worse. So that's generally the reaction that, I know people whose parents, after they found out they had attempted suicide, instead of trying to get them help, they just yelled at them. They would make a joke out of that. If they would not take it seriously, so it's just better for them to not know. And so I would attempt to take end my life maybe on Friday when there's no one in the house, when I'm alone, because I just wanted to do it and be done, and not have somebody stop it. So There are those days where you just want to go ahead and do it, and you do not want to be stopped because it's just too much pain. Um, but nothing would happen. So Monday, I would be back to school like nothing ever happened. Because if my family found out, that would be an issue that I'm suicidal, and they would not try to help me. So black parents need to take mental illnesses very seriously. I don't like this whole somebody talking about being suicidal, they're looking for attention, or if somebody's letting you know that they are considering suicide, then you're saying they are looking for attention. Even if they are looking for attention, give them the attention. You will not die from giving somebody the attention. You will actually save somebody from dying because it is a cry for help. It's a person basically looking for. Look, the thing is, somebody would say, so why don't they just say help me, or why don't they just outright not go ahead with the carry out the suicide? And in my head, logically, it makes sense right now to commit suicide because then I will just be free from pain. That's it. I will be okay. But if you actually think of it as this way, like if somebody whose head is clearer than mine at the time, then they talk to me, then it makes it feel better. Wentworth Miller said, when you're in that space of depression and suicide ideations, there's not a lot of space for us. There's no community. You don't feel like you're part of a group. You don't feel like there's somebody else in the world who understands what you're going through. So you feel like it will never end. You feel like a box and it's just locked and it will never be opened and it's dark and you just can't breathe. And the only way you can end this with misery that you're in is to basically end your life. So if the person you think they just want attention, give them the attention. You will save their life. Even though it's not an attention seeking. Another thing, when somebody has died from suicide, people do this thing of, oh my god, why didn't they talk to me about it? I had no idea what was going on. Why wouldn't they say something? I thought we had a good relationship. Yeah, you may have had a good relationship, but what language were you using when you were talking about people in general who go through those things? Because the stigma and the shame that comes with mental illness, sometimes when people don't talk about it because of that. So the stigma, the shame that's associated with it, and then people are just gonna hide that they actually do battle with mental illness or in suicidal ideations. So you will be sitting with your friends who probably do not know that you are going through, you do go through those things. Then you will just listen to how they talk about people who have experienced those things that they know of, or who have been open about talking about those things. And then you realize, I could never be able to talk to this person about it because of how they view the whole thing. You get more ashamed, you feel more isolated because of that, because of how the people around you are talking about. We must try and stop to want to trivialize or to compare how we react to things to how other people react to things, because if we sit and we talk about somebody who has had depression and was attempting to end their life because of a boyfriend or a marriage that didn't work, and then how we discuss that, the kind of language that we will use, if we are going to trivialize that, then even without knowing, maybe one of our friends is going through that. And they will never be able to share that because of how we were talking about that situation. Because we were just like, Aisuka kind of thing. But in reality, it's a thing that happens because those relationships do affect us. they do have an impact in our lives. So we must be mindful of the language that we use as well, and just stop posting on Facebook that people must always talk to you about it. But in reality, you're just like, I suka. Why would anyone want to end their life over that stupid thing, that small thing? It's not maybe small, stupid to you, but it's not to them. Like I said, there are other factors that come into play. So that's why to say people have gone through those things and they didn't end their lives is very unfair, because another thing is we also don't process things the same way. And the reason why we do not process things the same way again is because our brains do not function the same. So for some, that was just the trigger they were waiting for, the stressor that their brain was waiting for, and then it blows, and then yeah. Even if somebody is depressed and suicidal over a relationship that ended, try to help that person. I don't really agree with the whole notion of trivializing the influence and impact that romantic relationships have in our lives, because they actually do have a lot of impact, like any relationship that you have. And friendship that ended, that's fine if it affects you, because that's a relationship that you had, you create, yet the someone that was close to you, that you liked, that you did things with, that you shared experiences with, you shared ideas with, you planned a future with, and so it ended, so you're allowed to be upset about it. And when it comes to intimate relationships, then we tend to invest a little bit different, and because of the intimacy, the level of intimacy that goes further than the friendships. So if somebody is feeling suicidal because of that, or they want to end their life because they feel like their life is over because this relationship has ended, help that person instead of trivializing whatever they're going through. So while you are being mindful of the things that you say to them, try to be mindful of just how you generally speak about things. Like I said, a lot of times people do hide this sometimes shame that is associated with mental illnesses, and that stigma, and just because you have gone through the same things and you reacted differently to them, because again, there's a lot of other factors that come into play to influence the way that we react, the way that we act, the way that we do things. So if you're used to a certain thing, don't want to compare that. Let's don't create those things. So if you know you're just one of those people who do not have the patience for people who have mental illnesses, because you're just gonna be like, ah, this one is just stressed over boys, and yeah, I don't know why we should keep whatever. Then try to take yourself away from that situation. Try to either suggest somebody that can help the person, or try to look for help for this person or something, but do not be the person that's going to be there, because people with mental illnesses, another thing, they feel like they eventually bore people, so they feel like people eventually get tired of hearing about it, and that also adds on the um to the feelings of isolation. You're gonna feel like you're annoying your friends because you're constantly talking about it. You're gonna feel like they are getting tired of hearing about it. They're getting tired of your positive, of your sad vibes. They just wanna have good vibes only, here whoop whoop kind of vibes, and you just here coming to drain the energy. Because I mean, we all know how draining people who are always complaining are. So now, if you are constantly depressed because of whatever, like, it's the thing, it's not easy to snap. You can't just snap out of depression. You can't just be like, okay, decide to buy my back rent and then back rent. That's not how it works with Yona. And because it's an illness, that's what we need to understand. It's an illness. You can't just snap out of it. And so when you are still going through all those feelings, it's not going to be easy to talk to people constantly about it, because you're going to feel like, okay, you're just beginning to annoy people. People just getting tired of always being surrounded by your negative energy. Take the time to listen. Do not belittle. Do not. Um, Personally, I don't like jokes about serious things because that's a way of normalizing things and trivializing them. So I'm not really a fan of those things. So if you're not a person who's battling with mental illness, then don't joke about it. It's it has shamey vibes when you do it, so that's not something you should do. And I think if you know that you are one of those people that are very shamey and belittling of people with mental illnesses, then do not try to want to offer your help to people who tend to have, especially um, frequently, battle with suicidal ideations, because your help and refusal to help could be the line between them actually doing it. People tend to not talk about it openly. I talk about it very openly. So if you think I'm looking for attention, I don't care. But I do think that the more openly we talk about it, the more normalized and destigmatized it is going to be, because it's a very real thing that affects real people, and it has a real bad consequences if it's not well handled. Um, Anyways, thank you for watching. Thank you for coming through. Um, I post a new video every Monday, so please watch and subscribe. You guys are just watching but not subscribing. Please subscribe and thank you. And don't forget to be mindful of what you say to others. Be mindful of how you act around others. Take your time to talk to people. Phone, the South African Depression and Anxiety Group. Try to have somebody that you can talk to. We all kind of want therapy. I journal personally. It's my thing. I journal. I read psychology. I read books about parenting, reparenting my inner child. I try to understand. I do a lot of self-awareness kind of things that to that point where it can be annoying, and but it doesn't make it go all the way. It's a step by step thing, and I don't feel bad when I have my bad days, because I do have bad days. I don't shame myself. I hold myself with love. I reparent the child. I give the child a hug. I tell the child it's gonna be okay. And be nice to people. You will not be nice every day. It will not happen. But try. Try, try, try. See you next Monday.